Hello, all my fellow gamers and horror film fans. Welcome to my weekend watch and play edition. I'm Mike C, and welcome into the Chrono Cabin. It is the weekend, and this is where I love to talk to you about what I will be watching, horror movie-wise, over the weekend, and what video games I'm going to be diving into, and I hope everyone here watching is going to be having a great weekend coming up. First, I got to thank Billy. He gave me this awesome haircut.
I think I did a great job. I'm going to start my own barber shop.
You did a great job, Billy. I was a little concerned at first to have Billy cut my hair just because, he's a little clumsy, but it all came out pretty good, I think. I may look a little like Beaker. I'll take what I can get, though. It's a good home haircut. So, without further ado, we'll get into what I'm watching first, and then we'll get into the gaming, because there's a lot of gaming news. But what am I watching this weekend? First up is Archive 81. This is a Netflix series, and it's actually based on a real podcast. It's based on the podcast called Archive 81. I believe they're up to 3 seasons. And that's not bad, actually. 3 seasons of a podcast become that popular to where you actually have a Netflix series come out. I think it's pretty great. This is where a tape archivist is hired to restore some videotapes that were destroyed in a fire. He's paid a lot of money by this mysterious company, but the only catch is he has to go to this remote location in the Catskills where they are keeping the tapes. And he has to keep whatever he sees on the tapes completely confidential. And there is no internet, and there's very little cell service up there, so what can go wrong, right? Now, I kind of like rural settings in horror movies and series, and this kind of has the best of both worlds. It takes place in New York, and it also takes place outside of New York in the Catskills, and it's actually a very beautiful location. This, of course, is based on found footage, but you're not always watching found footage. In fact, it's only a very small part of it. In other words, you just see the found footage for little plot moving points, but then you move into the cinematic version, so it's more like watching a show. I get a little tired of found footage stuff sometimes, and when I initially thought about watching this, I was thinking to myself, gee, I hope it's not all found footage, and it's definitely not. This thing is filmed beautifully. Now, I'm only on episode 4 at this point, but it really grabbed me, and I have been really interested to see where this story is going. I don't really have a creepy factor for it yet. I wouldn't define it totally as creepy, but it's interesting, and it actually reminds me a little bit of Eyes Wide Shut, and it reminds me a little bit of Rosemary's Baby. I'll say that much. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't even know that much about it yet. I'm still watching it. What I've seen is a lot of entanglement in the characters, which I like. This is something that you do have to kind of really pay attention to because there's a lot of moving plot points. But overall, it's a great experience so far. So I'll probably do a longer video on this after I've finished it. Now, I mentioned to you that this is shot really well, and it is. It looks great. I have an LCD TV, and you might know that in darker shots, like where they kind of go almost into black, LCD TVs can have trouble with that sometimes. You can get a little bit of light blare, so you get these little spotting and these little artifacts. I see none of that in this. So this is actually filmed rather dark. I mean, there's a lot of very dark scenes. I don't mean dark as in sinister dark, although there is that too, but just overall, it's very dark at times, and I'm not seeing any kind of artifacting. The blacks are blacks on my TV, and the lighting is just amazing. So really looks great. If you have an OLED TV, you probably wouldn't know what I'm talking about because OLED TV's true black is true black. You don't get any of that artifacting. But on an LCD TV, I'm really appreciating it. They shot this really well. It's particularly difficult to shoot in low light, and they have it down. So that's a real big selling point on this for me right off the bat. Now, another thing that I really like about this is the music. And I almost thought that Philip Glass composed this because Philip Glass, he's a composer that uses a certain technique called ostinato. He's very good at it. He didn't invent ostinato, but he utilizes it very well. He's one of my favorite composers, and he's the composer of Candyman, the original Candyman. And that is actually one of my favorite horror film scores. And if you go back and watch that and then you watch this, you'll hear a lot of similarities in the music. Not that this music was copied in any way, it's just I like that ostinato form. What is ostinato, you might be asking? Well, I'm a musician by trade, so we'll learn a little music today. An ostinato is basically a repeating pattern. They've been using it since the classical era of music. Let me stop the background music right now, and this is an example of ostinato. You can see it's kind of a repeating pattern. And then you can layer other things on top. So yeah, it's a really cool style. Philip Glass does it really well. But Philip Glass did not do the music to Archive 81. In fact, it was Ben Salisbury and it was Jeff Barrow. You may remember Jeff Barrow from Portishead. Kind of a groundbreaking band at the time. And believe me, the music is great. And I don't mean to say like they're copying Philip Glass's style. They're not at all. It's just they're employing that technique of ostinato. I really like it. And the music is filled with a lot of really nice beds, synth beds, kind of what we would call drones or synth drones, pad drones, if you will. Really great stuff. So I'm enjoying it so far. Like I said, I'll do a longer video when I finish it. And by the way, the acting is just fantastic. It's a really, really great cast. So thoroughly enjoying it. Maybe you could try checking it out this weekend yourself if you're looking for something to watch. I highly recommend it so far. Next thing on the list is actually not really horror related. It is a limited series on Netflix and it is called Stay Close. This involves a woman with a past that she is trying to erase or she's trying to escape from, but that past is catching up with her. So this is a great mix of entangling storylines that really keep you guessing. This is more of a dramatic mystery. And I know it's not horror related, but this is the weekend edition and not everything has to be horror related per se. There are some creepy moments in it, but like I said, it's more just out of enjoyment. I just kind of got hooked into it. I'm kind of intrigued to see what's going to happen. It's got a great cast, and overall, it's got a great look too. They filmed it really well. Location, again, for me is important. I enjoy interesting locations. This is filmed in London, and it's filmed in parts outside of London. So it really centers around this one nightclub called Viper. I really do like these limited series because they're self-contained. So you know that there's going to be some kind of resolution. And more often than not, when you start watching a series on any streaming service, if it's a new series, you might get left with a cliffhanger. And then you're not even sure if they're going to pick that season up or they're going to pick up the show for another season. So then you might just get left on a cliffhanger. Like in Alf. Yes, Alf was left on a cliffhanger because they thought they were going to do another season of the show, but they never signed on for another season. But you get my drift. Sometimes it can be frustrating. There's a couple shows I've watched on Netflix that just got discontinued and they just left you on a hanging note. So I like these limited series. I'm a big fan. And Archive 81, by the way, I think it's a self-contained season. This is a podcast based story, so I think what they do is they do like a different story each season. So, you know, hopefully that's the way it works out. But yeah, I'm a big fan of these limited runs. So this one's not horror related, but definitely worth checking out. It's easy to get through, and you're really guessing all the way through. I mean, it's a good mystery run. Now that said, let's get into gaming. And boy, it has been wild. Just this last week as far as news in games. More on that at the end. But what am I playing this weekend? Well, I am actually continuing to play Tales of Arise on my PS5. Can't tell you how much I've been enjoying this game. Now, this game actually did win RPG of the Year at the Game Awards. If you care about the Game Awards, I started this game well before the Game Awards. I didn't even know if it'd be nominated. And then I found out it was nominated. I actually voted for it because I'm really enjoying it. This is a great action JRPG. I'm not all the way through it yet, but I'm almost done. I'll probably finish it this weekend. Now, I've mentioned this a few times on my channel, but I think what makes a great RPG or a great JRPG is if you can step into a long existing franchise and you can have a very welcoming experience. So it doesn't feel like you've missed out on a lot. you can really just pick up on this particular game and really get immersed in it. And this is Tales of Arise. Tales of Arise has quite a few games in their franchise. I mean, they go way back. You might remember Tales of Fantasia, that came out in 1995. There's Tales of Symphovia, that came out in 2004. And there's a lot of offshoots, there's side stories, and I mean, Tales is an old series. So it's a big franchise, very, very popular in Japan. I have never played any of the Tales games before, so I'm a complete newcomer to the Tales experience. And Tales of Arise welcomed me right in. I mean, I had no problem understanding what's going on. In fact, the plot's fairly simple. There's the Danans and the Renans. The Renans have enslaved the Danans, and the Danans are fighting for their freedom. And you play a character that has lost his memory, and he is trying to remember his past. And as you keep going in the game, you remember more and more bits of it while you fight to free the Danans. Great simple plot, easy to follow. It's really rich story-wise, especially in the background of the characters, which you learn more about as you keep playing the game. The battle system is really fun. It's, again, an action JRPG, so it's not great if you're a button smasher. You want to time out your attacks with the animations. Once you get used to it, it becomes second nature, and I feel really confident with it. In JRPGs, sometimes the battle systems can be a little complicated. Take Xenoblade Chronicles. I'm a fan of Xenoblade Chronicles. I like it, but the combat is complicated. It takes a while to wrap your head around it. Tales of Arise, it's also a complicated battle system, but the game does a great job of introducing the battle mechanics gradually. So you'll start with something simple, you will learn that, you'll kind of master that, and then they introduce another level, and then another level. And it actually makes a really friendly gaming experience, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I was able to wrap my head around it quite easily because of the way they introduce it to you. Also, if you're a fan of Tales and you played other Tales games, the battle system might be pretty familiar, but again, I'm a newcomer to the series, so the battle system is completely new to me, and I'm having a great time with it. Another thing that I like about it is it doesn't really focus on grinding. There's no need to really grind your characters. It really promotes you to just keep playing the game. And I really like that. So anyway, more about this game, I think, when I finish it. But overall, it just looks great. I like the music. I like the sound design. Oh, and I like the fishing. The fishing is great. There's two games that I really like the fishing in. So far, it's Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's this one. I was kind of hoping the fishing mechanic in Skyrim, the Anniversary Edition, would have been really cool as well, but it's kind of a letdown, unfortunately. I'm still enjoying the Anniversary Edition of Skyrim, but the fishing let me down. So yeah, the fishing in this game is really fun. I gotta say, once you get a handle on it, you can kind of upgrade your fishing skills, and you can catch bigger fish, and it's just a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. There's a lot to do in this game. It's very open world, but it's a linear open world, but I don't mind that. I think it's great. It still promotes a lot of exploring. Also, one more thing, if you don't have a PS5, you can play this on a PS4. It's cross-platform, so you can play it on Xbox as well, whatever you have, except it's not on Switch. But, just saying, if you don't have a PS5, you have a PS4 right now, you're going to have just as good of an experience as I'm having. Now, the next game is a Nintendo Switch game, and this one was kind of a surprise. I literally picked this up for $2. That game is SteamWorld Dig. This has a very Metroidvania-like feel. You play as Rusty, a mining steambot that just kind of wanders into this desolate western town and ends up helping the town out because they need a lot of stuff mined. They need a lot of the riches and the materials mined. And in the mining process, you reveal a lot of secrets. It's really a lot of fun. So I've actually been playing this game for a while now, but I'm going to be continuing to play it over the weekend because it's just kind of hooked me in. It's fun. It's kind of relaxing to play at times, and it's got its challenges as well. But yeah, I definitely pick this up, especially if it's on a sale. You can't go wrong with this game if you're into that kind of Metroidvania. I wouldn't say it's steampunk. It's not steampunk, but I like the fact that it's like a robot minor. It's just kind of interesting. Now, lots of fun stuff coming up here for gaming, especially in February and March. January is usually a bit slow, but that slow month got really disrupted by the news that Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard. What's interesting to me about all of this is that no one knew about it. Usually in the gaming world, we've got some really good people out there that are doing great data mining that can kind of give us a hint as to what's coming. They look at patents and whatnot, but no, this one was out of the blue. In some ways, I think maybe we should have seen it coming. I didn't realize this, but Activision was looking for a buyer. And I guess they were shopping around. In fact, according to the Wall Street Journal, they even went to Meta to see if, Meta, of course, being Facebook, but they went to Meta to see if Meta would be interested in buying them. So I think Microsoft just saw an opportune situation and moved in to buy them. Obviously, Activision Blizzard, they have had a lot of issues as far as their workplace environment. And yeah, a lot of bad stuff, and they've been under heavy criticism. Their stock has been kind of stumbling quite a bit, and I think Microsoft saw the opportunity and decided to go in and swoop in and buy them up. Why is Microsoft doing this? They really want Game Pass to be the big thing. I mean, I think they are laser focused on Game Pass at this point. And like anything, content is king, so really, Game Pass is pretty successful right now, and I think it's a good service, honestly. It's got a lot of games, and it's got a lot of cross-play capabilities, so you can go from your PC to your phone to your Xbox. I mean, it's a good deal. And there's already 25 million subscribers, and that's counting. So yeah, they have a big stake, but what's going to make that bigger is them getting more titles. And the more titles, the better. I mean, this is a content business. I mean, whether it be streaming for movies like Netflix, Shudder, any streaming service, Amazon Prime, it's all about the content. The more content they have, the better. I don't always think that more equals better, because sometimes you can have a lot of content, not necessarily all of it's going to be good per se. So, but all in all, this is what we're seeing all over the place. We're seeing lots of acquisitions. I mean, look at Disney. Am I worried as a PlayStation player? No, because PlayStation still has a lot of great IPs, and I'm still interested to see what PlayStation is going to do at this point. We are in probably one of the weirdest places in gaming history. We have all this new generation technology, which no one can get. We have all of these great games coming out, but they're not out yet. They've been postponed just due to lots of problems. You know, obviously, this has been a very bizarre time. You know, I started off on Xbox. I originally had, I still have my Xbox, my original Xbox, and then I moved to 360. And at the time, and by the way, the Xbox 360 was my favorite gaming system for many years. I mean, I love that thing. I played great games on that. And I was a huge fan of Fable, still am actually, and I am a huge fan of Halo, still am. So I, at one point, decided I wanted to get a new generation console, and I decided on a PS4. I went with the PS4 mostly because I wanted to play the game The Last of Us, and I got it, I played that game, and I've never really looked back. Now, yeah, I do miss Fable, and I do miss Halo. It was a tough decision for me because, you know, I have to leave some of these exclusives behind. I mean, exclusives have always existed. So again, you know, that was a big shift for me. I had to say, like, well, you're gonna not be able to play Fable anymore. You're not gonna be able to play Halo anymore, you know, unless I get an Xbox or I vamp up my PC down the line, which I'm planning to do. So exclusivity has always been a thing. It's been something that's driven people to consoles, one or the other. PC gamers even have sometimes had to come to consoles because they've found some of the games that they really like, that they really want to play, and they're only on consoles. So that's disappearing now because both Microsoft and Sony are both exporting a lot of their games to PC. I think PC, if you got a good PC, you're sitting pretty right now. Now, I said I miss Fable, but you know what? I played all the Fable games on the 360, and since there haven't been any new Fable games. So I haven't really missed out. here's just my guess. I don't think Nintendo's going anywhere. I don't think Sony's going anywhere. And I don't think Microsoft is going anywhere. Fun fact, though, I do remember when Microsoft first announced that they were going to go into the gaming console world, and they announced the Xbox. That was a big surprise. Like, no one ever saw Microsoft going to the gaming console or taking the gaming console route. So back then, that was a big deal. Like, people were almost as shocked as they are now that Microsoft bought Activision and Blizzard. And I think the most shocking thing is just that no one knew about it. Yeah, that still gets me. But yeah, overall, listen, everyone, I'm going to have more thoughts on this later. I think it's just kind of a video all on its own. But honestly, there's so much to play right now. I would just be happy with what you have. And I definitely am. Like, I really enjoy my Switch. In fact, I was really, I had a very serious health problem for a long time. And some friends of mine wanted to cheer me up. They all pitched in and they got me a Nintendo Switch. And it was one of the best gifts I've ever gotten. And I really enjoy having a Nintendo Switch. It's a different style of gaming than what I play on PS5 or PS4 or Xbox. But I really enjoy it. I mean, there's lots of great games on Switch. I mean, there's lots of great stuff coming out, especially in February. I'm actually looking forward to Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Looks like kind of a cross between The Last of Us and Cute. Why not? But yeah, there's lots of great titles, on Nintendo. And you buy a Nintendo just so you can play certain titles. For me, I'm perfectly happy. I think Sony's got some great stuff coming out this year. And a lot of the stuff that we're kind of worried about happening isn't going to happen for a while. This acquisition is not supposed to happen until next year. It's not finalized yet. I'm going to tell you now, my best guess is it's going to be finalized. A lot of people are saying, well, that's a monopoly. It's not near a monopoly, because when Microsoft does acquire Activision and Blizzard, they will only account for 10% of the gaming pie in the world. So the global gaming market is huge. That just puts it in perspective. With the acquisition of Activision and Blizzard, Microsoft will only own about 10% of that gigantic pie. It's kind of weird to think about, right? It's a big piece, though. It's a big piece. And yeah, there's going to be exclusives that we were able to play on PlayStation that are going to be exclusive to Xbox and PC. Yeah, definitely. But more on that later. I really think just enjoy what you're playing right now. I'm really excited about a lot of the games that are coming out really soon on PlayStation. I mean, we have Horizon Forbidden West. We've got Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. We've got God of War Ragnarok. Elden Ring. Elden Ring is going to be cool, although Elden Ring is cross-platform anyway. But I'm excited about that one. So, I mean, there's plenty of stuff to go around right now. And I think, everybody just chill out, and just enjoy playing what you're playing. And we're going to see how this all evolves. Sony's not going anywhere. Microsoft's certainly not going anywhere. But neither is Nintendo. All three companies have their issues, and they've got to work on things to make them better, as always. But sometimes healthy competition is good. Because with healthy competition, it means, there's going to be a real strive to make better games. And really, Sony, what they really need to do is just make really good games that come out without patches needed, without updates needed, all through the game. I mean, it'd be great just to have games that aren't broken come out. If Sony really spends its time and comes out with really great games, I mean, they're going to do really well. Same thing with Nintendo. And you're going to have a lot of options. So I'm not really looking at this as a negative thing in any way. I think it's a positive thing. I think it's bound to happen. We are moving to cloud gaming. That has its benefits, but it also has its issues right now. Cloud gaming is good if you can download the games natively. If you can't, it's a bit of a problem, because all things aren't equal when it comes to internet. So some people have better internet than others, but also just games don't look that great when they're really compressed, so they can sneak through tiny bandwidth. But all that's going to change too. I mean, as we're moving into 5G, that rollout is happening, although they've had some issues right now, especially with the with airplanes and airports. I mean, but that'll probably get resolved at some point, when everything is able to be safe. I don't want any planes crashing. But yeah, 5G is going to be coming out at some point. It's already out there, but it's going to be more widely released. And also, your internet speeds are going to keep increasing. It's going to get exponentially faster. As that happens, cloud gaming itself is going to become much more viable. So I think Microsoft really is kind of putting themselves in that position, but Sony's going to have an answer. We'll see how it all goes. If you enjoy my content, everyone, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for spending time with me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like. You can ring that bell for future notifications. Whenever I release new content, you can set your notifications to all, not miss anything. And I plan to see you very soon, especially next week. I want to talk about some of the new Shudder movies that are out this month and next month that are coming up. So got a lot of great stuff to talk about. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone, and I will see you soon.